Hi Stella, I'm Jan.
Hi Jan, it's really nice to meet you. Yeah, my name's Stella. I'm one of the social workers here at the Community Health Centre. How's your day been so far?
Oh, okay. I'm glad I'm here to see you. I'm feeling a bit better now.
Was it okay getting here? Travel was okay?
Yeah, traffic wasn't too bad and it's just nice to be early, so I had some time to think about the sort of things that I wanted to talk to you about and whatnot. So yeah, thanks for asking.
Great. Before we get started with talking about what's going on for you at the moment, I just want to let you know a bit more about my role and how it kind of works here at the
Thank
centre.
you.
So, as I said, yeah, I'm a social worker here.
Yeah.
You're welcome to talk to me about whatever you would like to talk about. I understand that your GP has referred you here. So what that means is that you'll have 10 sessions available to you for you to come in here and talk about whatever you'd like.
Yeah. Okay.
If you'd like to continue to come in after those 10 sessions have finished, we can talk a little bit more about that process when it happens. But one of the things you'll need to do is go back to your GP and get another referral here. But again, we can talk about that further down the line. If you have any questions about that, we can go through it in more detail.
Yeah, that's fine. Thank
okay with
you. Yeah,
Beautiful.
no problem.
I also need to talk to you a little bit about privacy and confidentiality.
Yeah.
So everything we talk about here is completely private and confidential, except when we talk about something that might suggest that there's a risk that you might hurt yourself or somebody else in your community.
Right.
If that comes up in conversation, what I'll need to do is talk to someone else about it, usually my supervisor, and talk to them about what we might need to do to support you and keep you safe and keep other people safe as well.
I understand. Thank you.
If that's going to happen, I'll absolutely let you know that I'm going to need to have those conversations with someone else. There's one more thing I need to cover before we start to talk about what's going on for you, and that is that even though I'm not taking any notes while we're talking today, I do need to take some notes just to keep track of what we talk about in our sessions, and it's mostly for me to keep track of progress.
I get it. That's no problem.
Beautiful.
That's fine. So what happens in here will stay between us.
Exactly.
Unless something untoward might happen or you have concerns, but you'll be telling me first anyway.
That's exactly right.
Okay.
Yeah, all those notes are kept secure. Nobody else has access to them except me. You can request them though if you'd like them.
Okay.
So all that, I know that's a lot of information. I apologise to start with. Do you have any questions about anything we've spoken about? Or is that all okay?
I don't think so.
Great. So can I ask you what's brought you in here today?
I'm conscious of the time we've got, so I thought.
Yeah, sorry, we do only have 15 minutes, so it is a short amount of time today.
That's fine, thank you. I'm just thinking today I'll just let you know that my stress levels have been like full on, and I talked to my GP about that. So I've got lots going on at home, and I also have a full-time job. And I don't know how I'm doing it all, but it's all getting a bit too much, and I think my GP was concerned my blood pressure had gone sky high recently. So that's, I guess, is a good place to start, I think.
Sure. So you talked about your home, that you've got a lot going on at home and you're working full-time as well.
Yeah.
What is kind of the biggest area of stress for you at the moment?
Well, I mean, work's good because it's good to go and do the work during the day. I don't find work is self-stressful, but once I get home, with the amount of responsibilities and things that I have at home, I just find that it just becomes one thing after the other, and I don't have much rest. I don't have a spare second really to do much, and then once I go to sleep, I'm exhausted, and I go back to work the next day and go on and so forth. So yeah, I'm full time and all up, I just find that I might just, I don't know, need to talk to you, I guess, about the situation outside of work and maybe some things I can do.
Okay, sure. So it sounds like there's a lot going on at home
Yeah.
for you.
Yeah.
But you've got work as a bit of a place of relief from the stresses at home. You mentioned you've got a lot of responsibilities at home.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell me more about what those responsibilities are?
Well, I love my family. I love them so much, and they mean everything to me. And I have 3 little children, and they're beautiful. And I look after those with my partner, and everything was fine and dandy and life was going on, but then we had some changes in our life recently, and the partner was also diagnosed with diabetes, unfortunately. So yeah, that's had an impact for him and the amount he's been able to help.
Yeah, that sounds like a really life-changing event, that diagnosis. You mentioned you've got 3 kids as well. Can I ask how old those kids are?
They're 10, 8 and 6, and the 6-year-old is like having a 2-year-old in a lot of ways, actually. There's some complications there, but the 10 and 8-year-old are pretty much, they're okay to look after themselves, but their 6-year-old requires a lot more attention.
Okay, right. So, I mean, 3 little kids, it's a lot to manage.
Yeah.
And they're still quite young. Are you their primary caregiver?
Yes. Well, up until recently, my partner and I were, but now that my partner's sick, I've become their primary caregiver. And as I said, the youngest takes up the most of the time, and so does my mum.
Okay. So is your mum living at home with you as well?
Well, she is now. About 6 months ago to a year ago, she got really sick and she was having difficulty with taking care of herself, you know, like general day-to-day nursing things, and shower and getting in and out of bed, preparing meals. Also, she can communicate really well and whatnot, but she's not able physically to do a lot for herself.
Okay.
Yeah, I love Mum having there, and I really feel responsible to be able to provide the care, but talking to you today, I'd like, I guess, to think about what other options there are, because it's just getting harder and harder. But
sure,
I don't really feel that a nursing home would be really ideal, because I can't imagine they'd be able to provide the care that I do at home.
Sure.
And she gets to see her grandkids as well, which is really big part of our culture.
Yeah, right. So you've got your 3 little kids, you're doing a lot of the caring duties for your mum as well.
Yeah.
That is a lot of responsibility for
yeah,
sure.
I guess, yeah.
In terms of how long your mum's been with you, can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Thanks for asking. So over the last year, her health has declined more and more, and it's only been recently that, you know, to be able to lift her out of bed and get her into the shower, and I just have a concern that, I mean, the kids are fine, except for the little one that might do my mum's head in a little bit. Can be, as I said before, you know, she can be quite difficult with her needs herself, but as for Mum, her needs have progressively got more and more over the last, say, 6 months.
Sure.
And with my husband with diabetes, so I've got him at home with diabetes, and he's not very happy about me having to change his diet, because he liked chops and mash every night, and lots of butter and fat and oil and all of that stuff. But now I've got to cook just salad, and it's just got really hard, and I've got to learn to do lots of different healthy, you know, like those margarines that are low in whatever, all of that stuff. So I've had to re-educate myself as to how to cook for him, and so Mum is taking up a lot more time, and so is my little 6-year-old. So it's just all really hard, and I just feel so stressed.
In terms of lots going on. You've got your mum, then you've got your husband as well, who's going through a really big adjustment, changing his diet. Sounds like you're taking on a lot of responsibility for all those changes.
I'm going through bigger changes in him, as I said. Oh my God, he's so fussy with his food. And the doctor said he has to have good oils and lean meat and fruit and veggies. And anyway, I'm trying. I'm doing my best.
Sure. Sounds like you're absolutely trying to do as much as you can for everybody. With your your mum at home taking on those caring duties, and with your husband being at home as well, and you working full time, do you have any help in the house when you're working?
Well, I haven't yet. It has, I guess there have been some options that was mentioned by the hospital with my husband. Something I haven't really thought about, to be honest.
Okay.
But the hospital had said that they could come in and give a hand if they need to.
Okay.
To help.
Sure. But those are things that haven't quite been explored yet, but maybe in the future.
Yeah, and I'm really scared because I don't want Mum to go to a nursing home. I'm just really worried about that. And, even though it's getting harder, it's just not an option for me in my culture.
Sure. Can you tell me about that not being an option?
Thanks. Yeah. Well, in our First Nation culture, we rely on one another's families there for one another, and there's a lot of us, and aunts and uncles and extended family and elders. When the time comes and when I need to, and when I really feel that I can't possibly do this anymore, I thought seeing you might help in the interim, and then I might be able to speak to you and get some help as to how I could approach the community.
Sure.
To go about, like, how does that sound?
Yeah, absolutely. So you mentioned that you have, kind of a support network around you.
Yeah.
Have you started to, or reached out to those members of your community at this stage?
I have once or twice before, and that went okay, I guess. It's not always easy to work with change, but I figured speaking to you, it'll just be little steps and I'll get an idea, And the 6-year-old, it'll just be with the specialists and whatnot as well, I guess, just to guide me with her.
Yeah, okay. So you're kind of wanting to talk about ways that you can get some more support to help you with everything that's going on at the moment. Is that fair to say?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. I think it'll make a massive difference.
Yeah. We only have a few minutes left, unfortunately.
Okay.
We've talked about what's going on at home with your little one and your caring responsibilities towards your mum as well as your partner.
Yes.
The things that they need in terms of, it sounds like your mum is really needing her daily needs to be looked after by you, really basic kind of tasks, and your partner dealing with that big diagnosis of having diabetes and needing those diet changes, and it really sounds like you're taking a lot of responsibility for what's going on with them at the moment.
So that's what my friends have told me too.
Yeah. And it sounds like you've got your work as well, which you're working full time, and you're enjoying being at work, but it's just, there's a lot going on, really is what it sounds like for you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, you also mentioned that you wanted to work towards getting some support in for you. You mentioned there's some support available. The hospital mentioned that there'd be support available in terms of your husband. Maybe in the future, in your next session, we can start to talk about some of the solutions that you've been
I
offered by the
appreciate
hospital.
that because I'm not
That's
really
good.
sure sort of as to how or
Yeah.
when or what directions I'll go into, but yeah, if I could talk about that when I see you next, that'd be great. I
Great.
appreciate it.
We can absolutely kind of start to navigate that for you.
Okay.
Thank you. Very
Thank
nice
you.
to meet you.
Thanks, Stella.
Thank you.
Bye. That was good.
Okay. Okay. I was okay with the beginning. I thought that maybe there was a little bit too much information going through it in the beginning. And I also almost forgot to mention that 15 minutes. But yeah, I thought there was like maybe a little bit too much information there. That was kind of the first time that I'd done all that information all together, and it felt longer than I'd done it before. I think there's a lot going on in the scenario, so I wasn't able to unpack or really talk about the scenario a lot in depth, or really reach those kind of wider support networks that were available in more detail, just because there were so many parts of the scenario. And I'm not sure if I should have altered my intro knowing that it was a First Nations person as well. I think I probably needed to know a little bit more about how that would have affected any changes to how I did my introduction, and also how I kind of approached questions in general, and the understanding of things like community and family, and especially using those words in what I was saying, making sure that I knew what they meant to the person, to the service user.
Can I ask a question in response to that?
Yeah.
So, given the way I look and my name is Smith, I'm thinking, given the first visit you found out about that I said that I'm First Nations, because I wouldn't have expected that you knew. What do you think what could you do maybe possibly before the next visit?
Probably just do much more research about approaching that kind of situation, and be really careful with the language used. I feel like that would be really important. Just have knowledge around family as well, because that's really a big part of the scenario. The service users' responsibility in terms of caring for their family, and what kind of cultural impacts that could have also in terms of support moving forward. Probably would be need to take into account.
Do you think you listened well?
I think so. I tried to do like repeating the information that I'd heard to make sure it was right. But there was a lot of information as well, so making sure that that was, tried to listen my best that I could as well.
That's good.
I think that's all that I have.
And given the time that you had with Jan, with me, do you feel that you were pretty proficient in what you could uncover, and there was a lot of information, so do you think that you're comfortable with the amount that you did uncover without it getting all too much within the 15-minute time frame?
A little bit. I kind of wish that I'd focused more when I asked at the beginning what was the most important thing, and just focused more on that, and just did that more in depth rather than trying to cover more things more broadly, I think. But we'll see when I watch it back as well. That's me. Yeah. Okay, cool. All done.